Hollywood, California, Dominic Review Productions brings you classic entertainment in a modern world in an adventurous manner with a cast that's keeping the golden age of radio alive in A Day in the Life of Hollywood 1940's. With the voices of Dominique Breckenridge as Betty Gray, Jasmine Lofton as Rachel Ellis Hagan, Tamara Solomon as Mike Anderson, and Tony Ballard as Mason Davis. Tonight's episode, we visit our long but not lost friends at A Day in the Life of Betty, Rachel, Mason, and Pike as they prep for another weekly drama for Betty's Theater Corner on radio. Let's listen in. I think Pike's just walked into Rachel's office.
Hey Rachel, what are you up to?
I'm going over this week's script Betty has to read over the air.
What's the plot?
It's a story filled with suspense, adventure, horror, crime.
Wow, all that? Like a murder mystery?
No, husband and wife going house hunting.
Husband and house hunting? Rachel, you feeling alright? Maybe this new job as a script reader at the studio was too fast.
Pike, get off me! Where do you think you're taking me?
To the infirmary.
Stop shoving, Cab Calloway. I'm perfectly well. Here, read it yourself.
Titled Hunting House by Hunting House. Shouldn't it be house hunting?
Keep reading.
Page 1. Interior office building, realtor's office. Day. A woman, Susan, tall, sleek, and slender, walks through the doors of her office, briefcase in gloved hand, hat stylishly atop of her head, heels treading on the ground like walking on water. Betty? Flushed and excited, she rushes to her assistant's desk.
Molly, you have the files all set for the Cooper clients? We have to meet them this morning.
Everything's all ready to go, Susan. Don't worry.
$250,000 couple, and she says don't worry.
Are they really worth that much?
Sure they are. Don't you read? Never mind. Don't answer that.
Say!
That's not what I meant, Molly. I mean, of course you can read. You wouldn't be working for me if you couldn't.
I just can't believe someone's that lucky to win all that money on a quiz program.
Listen, I don't care if they won it on the road to Singapore. The important thing is I nabbed them first.
More like jab.
Nab, jab. What's the difference?
A bruised side. Here's a list of properties, photos to match.
That's fine, but I'm going to sell this husband and wife couple the first house I show them.
How do you figure that?
I was able to get them to use my services over all the other competition, wasn't I?
Says you. I believe it's going to take more than Ethel to push this motor.
Don't worry, Molly. I came prepared. I carry diesel.
What time is it, Millie?
About 9 o'clock, John.
I wish the woman with the keys would hurry up.
Correction, you mean the realtor?
I don't mean Evelyn.
Stop with the jokes, John. You keep serving those out and nobody's there to do the dishes.
Here comes the car, Millie. That must be her. Now remember, let me do all the talking.
Ah, there you are. You must be Mr. and Mrs. John Cooper.
Pardon my husband, miss. He does that when he runs into an attractive lady. Went to take him to go see the women. Blake and I got out the theater, especially that Rosalind Russell. He likes him tall.
Then he must go mute around you.
Molly, this is the Cooper family. Mr. and Mrs. Cooper. This is my assistant, Molly Ames.
How do you do?
Hello, how are you?
We're fine, thank you. How about yourself?
Wonderful, thanks for asking.
Not at all. We're just doing...
Please, Mr. and Mrs. Cooper, we mustn't stand here all morning exchanging pleasantries.
Well, how are you today, Miss Hayward?
I'm fine. Hayward? My name is Cheney. Susan Cheney.
So you're selling houses now?
Yes, I am. I've always sold houses.
See, that's her sideline, Millie. William Powell showed her all about how to be a con artist.
A con artist? Mr. Cooper, please!
To him, Miss Cheney. He's talking of Joan Crawford, William Powell, and Robert Montgomery in that last of Mrs. Cheney movie.
The way I'm feeling, I thought he meant the Charles Boyer and Ingrid Bergman one. You know, Gaslight. Where I can assure you, Mr. Cooper, there's no need. I have no rich aunt and no jewels to show for it.
And he always refers to people, places, and things in picture shows. It's one of his hobbies and makes him relax.
Yes. Well, now, if we can all get into my car, I'll drive you to your new residence.
Our new residence? That's the one we're trying to get out of.
I beg your pardon?
Don't mind him, Miss Cheney. He still looks at the old house here as new.
If you don't mind me asking, Mrs. Cooper, how long have you been in it?
20 years ago. He just can't seem to let things go.
I see. You're nice, Susan. Good luck getting them out of that thing.
Don't worry, Molly. I had a girdle with the same trouble once. Before I was through with it, we got along fine. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Cooper, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. The color's okay, but it don't seem to fit just right.
Why, Mr. Cooper, you have to walk through the house, get a feel for it. You can't make up your mind all in one look.
Don't see why not. That's how I got him.
Yes. Well, what do you think of the house, Mrs. Cooper?
Well, I don't know. It seems to fit all right, but the color don't seem to fit just right.
What color might you mean?
The outside, of course.
But, Mrs. Cooper, it's white.
That's just what I mean. No color.
You could always have it painted.
Molly, what are you saying? You don't paint places like this. It's a penthouse. The building comes as is.
Oh, I didn't know we were buying the whole thing. I thought it was just a room.
Oh, no, Mr. Cooper. That is, you're buying the home, just not the building. The room, rather, the home, in this case, is in the building.
Do you understand any of this, Millie?
Of course I do, John. The room is in the building of the home inside.
Yes. Well, come on this way, Mr. and Mrs. Cooper. Take a look at the kitchen.
Oh, look, John, a hallway in the middle of the kitchen.
It's sort of like a long entryway.
Not exactly, Mr. and Mrs. Cooper. This is a butler's pantry.
You don't say.
What do you know?
Mr. and Mrs. Cooper, what are you looking for?
Well, you said that there was a butler's pantry, didn't you?
Why, yes, I did.
Is he? We don't want to walk in on him if he's putting on clothes. Well, we'll come back some other time.
No, Mrs. Cooper, you're right, Mrs. Cooper. It's a hallway right in the middle of the kitchen. Now, how about we look at the terrace?
Oh, no. We'll never get on those things.
I'm sorry?
Between John and I, we don't ride roller coasters.
Roller coasters? Yes. Well, old girl.
I'd say that girdle of yours just popped wide open. All right, Susan. This is your 8th house in twice as less hours.
How seldom this house as if my life depended on it.
I think it does it. By the way, your hat's cocked on your head, your gloves have worn through, your buttons popped loose, and your hair has turned gray. I say you're ready to lie right down below here.
Oh, you do you? I'll show you. Come along, Mr. and Mrs. Cooper. Right this way.
Look, John, we've come to Mandalay.
More like Tower, if you ask me.
How about we settle right down the middle and call it Wuthering Heights?
The Enchanted Cottage.
Aww.
Yes. Well, step right in, Mr. and Mrs. Cooper. I believe you'll find everything you like. A quaint but fashionable place, your basic necessities, a rose garden, quiet little brook, rolling green hills, and...
My friend Flicker.
Yes, between my sister Eileen and my friend Irma, I was sure to come up with something you'd like.
Now you're talking our language.
Yes, I know. It took me a trip to the races to figure it out, but once I got there, Groucho and I got along fine.
Huh? Susan, what are you...
Shh! Keep quiet, you. Can't you see Fibber McGee and Molly over there are happy? It took a bag of bricks to fall on me, but I finally wrapped my mind around their lingo. They talk motion pictures. We weren't getting anything showing them properties that weren't described in the motion picture manner.
You mean?
Exactly. Random harvest.
My hat's off to you, Susan. Between Gracie and Alan over there, you sold yourself a house.
Gracie and Alan.
Mm-hmm. One wasn't quite George, but they were both all Alan. My goodness, Susan, I thought you'd never get out of that one. How'd you get yourself into such a mess?
I don't know. I just show up once a week. The rest is up to the writers. Good night, everybody.
I'm sure if the story would have went on and Susan didn't find out that the Cooper spoke cinema, there would have been a murder.
Yes, but whose?
Well, let the audience decide. Where's Meg?
Henry London, I think.
Oh, I better go. Henry told me to write him up a resume and send it in to the front office.
So what's wrong with that?
Well, he hasn't done much work legitimately. So I asked Dennis Hagen to tell me all he knew about Henry. Dennis said, don't worry about it. He'd have everything ready for me. He'd even type it out and send it in to the office himself.
You did what?
Hey guys, you gotta come down and see this. Henry London is being carried off the studio lot by security in a police wagon.
Oh no.
Quit fighting them, Henry. It will only make your wrist burn against the rope. I'm sure they'll untie you if you just stop the struggle.
Good night, everybody.
A day in the life of wants to thank you for tuning into our broadcast. The Dominic Review wants to remind you to subscribe to our Dominic Review YouTube channel. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Dominic Review, and share us with others.
We'd like to thank our cast and characters who played the roles in tonight's story. Hunting House, written by Dominique Breckenridge. The voices provided by Jasmine Lofton as Rachel Hagen and Mrs. Millie Cooper. Also, we have Tamara Solomon as Pike Anderson and Molly Ames. Yours truly, Tony Ballard, as Mason Davis and Mr. John Cooper. And the day in the life of creator, Mrs. Dominique Breckenridge as Betty Gray and Susan Cheney. Reminding you that all of the women's wardrobe worn in tonight's broadcast were provided by her line, Dominique's Private Collection. Okay, beautiful.
This has been a Dominic Review production. Good night, everybody. Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. Take your seats for 1 second. Stay there. When we're playing ourselves as Rachel, Mason, Pike,
Okay.
we're just ourselves.
Okay.
But when we start up,
Once we get
back
to
and
the
forth.
script.
Right. Okay. I'm going to try to do this one take. All
Do
right.
you understand any of this, Millie?
Of course I do, John. The room is in the building.
The room is in the building of the home side. Okay. All right.
Entryway. You don't say.
I know I'm fast, but I'm not quite that fast. What?
What the heck is happening? Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, please. Yeah, sort of a long entryway.
Not exactly, Mr. and Mrs. Cooper. This is a bunch of...
This
is rolling.
This is a bunch of malarkey.
Pick it up from yes.
Yes, so, guys, you got to come out and see this. Henry London is being carried off of the studio lot of my throat. Hey guys, you got to come out and see this. Henry Lot. Wow, this is easy.
Henry owns the lot now.
I think everybody had their tongue-tied moments
We'd
today.
like to thank our cast tonight and the characters who played the roles in the haunting. Wait.
The haunted wagon.
Well, it's almost Halloween, so I saw
Yeah.
haunting.